We are now joined by our men's super fights champion, Enrique Letona. Enrique, huge bracket, all types of amazing fighters, a crazy matchup with Bailey Murphy in the Sweet 16 before you even made it to the nighttime show, and then working through 3 different fights in the night show, which is a unique experience. Tell us about your time working your way through that bracket.
Okay, for me it was really hard to fight here, because I was training a lot for this, and I know there is some really good fighters. I was fighting with Bailey, he's a really good fighter. I was fighting with Brandon, I was fighting with Dwayne, and the last one was with Sandro. He's my friend, he's a really good fighter. I love to watch him fighting because, he kicks like me, so that's good. So I'm happy, I just want to say thanks God, because him give me that victory, and I know that without him it's not possible this, and I'm really happy with the team too, because everyone was behind me, so that's really good. I feel good.
I know this is your second official tournament on Team Paul Mitchell, but given the way that you end that, one of the great moments of the whole evening is after that last fight, you turn around, you look at the whole team, and you stretch your arms out wide. What's going through your mind in that moment? How does that feel?
I was feeling really, I had a lot of pressure on me because there was all my team and everyone was telling me it's on you because I was the last one, So, but it's good for me because I was fighting better, So I go inside, I go up and I say I will win this for me and for my team, because my team was there and I know I will be happy if they are happy, It's really good.
Another cool experience for you this weekend was your brother Jason was back in NASCA competition. We haven't seen him on the circuit consistently in a little while. And one thing that I think for a lot of people that are maybe new to watching Jason, how different you guys fight, right? It's very different style, but obviously he's got some amazing spin kicks and he got some really big wins this weekend. Talk about how proud you are of Jason, your brother.
Okay, my brother, first I love him. He is my partner forever, and I'm happy that he is back because before, you have an injury, and now he's back and he's really good. He's training a lot, he's training with me, and I know that he will be better than me, and he is training for that, and I'm happy to be with him because he is always my teammate, my brother, everything for me, and I'm happy for that.
And Enrique, closing with that last fight of super fights, you already mentioned that matchup with Sandro, somebody who is a friend of yours, right? And in the commentating booth, we were talking about how this is 2 of the best kickers in the world going against each other. So take us inside the mind of a fighter a little bit. Going up against another great kicker, obviously you're arguably the best kicker in the world anyway. Does that change your strategy at all? Does it change your approach with your kicking? You scored a lot of points in this fight with your hands. So tell us about kind of the mind game of being a great kicker against another great kicker.
Okay, I love to fight with people that kicks because I kick too. And I know how to fight with them. And of course, he is one of the best kickers in the world. And I know that, but I'm better, I always train my kicks and I was sure that I will win that. Not with these points, but I know that I will win that fight. So it's good to be in the final and win like that, and always I will say thanks God and thanks to my team because they was always there,
Enrique, excellent interview. Thank you so much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, Enrique Letona. We are now joined by Haley Glass of Team Paul Mitchell, the winner of the Women's Traditional Weapons Overall Grand Championship, as well as the default winner of the Women's CMX Forms Overall Grand Championship because she won all the divisions to get there. So Haley, just kind of give us a synopsis of the weekend, obviously those highlights with some big wins and just any experience overall.
Yeah, so it's been a great weekend. You want me to take it? Okay, we're gonna take it. Cool. Hello. All right. It's been a great weekend overall. This weekend was kind of one of the tougher ones for me. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of came in feeling a bit sick, under the weather. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but it sounds a little bit rough. And then this about a week ago, or a little bit less than that, my stepdad actually got off the kidney transplant list and got a kidney, and like everything went crazy. And it was such a blessing, but just things were so wild because it happened so fast. And I was making trips up to South Carolina and back, and it was just kind of all over the place. So I feel like my training messed up a little bit leading up to it, but coming here and doing as well as I did, given being very sick and having had to deal with that and help my mom and my stepdad and my sister and all that, I was really proud of how everything turned out this weekend. I pushed really hard. It was definitely one of my tougher events just because of everything, but I was happy with how things turned out, and I can't complain. It's always a fun time here with the team, getting to go to the hospital and everything. So overall, I can't complain.
And that was actually one of the big things that I wanted to talk about. Obviously wanted to send all the love and prayers to someone very, very important to you and Hakeem Walker. And just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about kind of things being frankly an emotional time, right? With such a big life event happening, and then almost having to like set that aside in some ways to come and do business at a karate tournament. Any lessons learned from that, or just open sharing of that experience and how kind of profoundly unique that is?
So this definitely wasn't something I was expecting when it happened. My stepdad, Hakeem, he got on the transplant list not too long ago, and I've heard that it sometimes takes years for that to happen. So I did not think this was the time, and I remember I was flying home from a seminar in Jacksonville, Florida last weekend, and I get a call as I'm boarding my plane, and my mom was like, Hakeem got a kidney. Like, we need to figure this out. He's going to have to go to South Carolina and all these things. And it was kind of 0 to 100 really fast. I actually flew back to Atlanta, and he had to connect again in Atlanta. So I stayed like 2 hours after my flight landed just to say hello, to say good luck before surgery. He flew in less than 10 hours after getting the call. He was already, under the pen and all this, under the knife, and I was very nervous. I wasn't prepared for it. It happened very quickly, but I was just wanting to make sure he was okay after, so I decided I had to drive up to South Carolina. It was a super quick drive before my mom and my sister even got there, so I was the first one to see him, and I was happy to know that he was okay. He woke up, everything was fine. He's got 3 kidneys now, which is crazy to me, and my little sister, she calls it, she says he has chili in his belly now, because that's how she understands it, as the chili beans. So, it's all been fun. My little sister's been able to see him. It was definitely hard having to switch that mentality because, yes, although he is okay right now, I know how fast things can change. So my mind is always like, okay, how's he doing? Is today a good day? Are we making progress? All of these things. And so far, it's been nothing but success along the way. So the surgery was great. His recovery has been great. So it gave me more peace of mind coming in here and trusting what I've done. Knowing that my training was a little bit off the week leading stressed me out a little bit. I have a strict regimen that I know what I need to do, especially the week leading up. And so the fact that was all messed up made me really rely on just my experience and my training for years, right? I've been doing this for so long, so I just relied on that, kind of fell back on it, and went in like nothing happened. So it didn't affect me too bad, but I'm not gonna lie, like I was thinking about it the entire time I was here. Like, didn't want anything to happen while I was here, but everything's going very smoothly.
Well, Haley, thank you so much for sharing, and congratulations on a phenomenal weekend.
Thank you.
We are now joined by Alex Mancillas of Team Paul Mitchell. Obviously, always a special weekend here being at the Team Paul Mitchell home tournament. That all started with that very special visit to Hasbro Children's Hospital to perform for the patients there. I was surprised to learn that despite your tenure with the team, this was your first official hospital visit to perform with Team Paul Mitchell. So tell us about how special that experience was.
That experience was more than special to me. Just like you mentioned, I've been on the team going on to be year 6, or this is year 5 going into year 6, which is a blessing, and I have always wanted to do that. Even before I was a part of the team, I looked up to everybody on Team Paul Mitchell, and I would see what the team would do, and it goes beyond the ring. There's a hashtag we did for one of the JPM Legacy seminars, that hashtag JPM gives back, or inspired by JPM, and that's not just a hashtag. It's it's something that we stand by, we live by, you know. So having that opportunity was more than great. And I have no idea how I've been on the team this long, and that was my first time. I think COVID, you know, I call myself the pandemic pickup. Got picked up near COVID time. COVID happened, so I think stuff was slowly starting to come back, and that's why I kind of missed on some. And then last year I was filming for Cobra Kai season 6, so missed out on that. But I was very happy to do it. So yeah.
And then on the mat this weekend, obviously we had some really special moments off the mat, but on the mat, weekend had its highs and lows, as every weekend does, right? Obviously you guys winning the men's team sparring title was a huge deal, especially after watching your brother Cam go down with an injury, and then the other three having to step up and really make sure that we took it home. So I want you to talk about that, and then also kind of contrast it with being in the heavyweight overall grand championship, which you had an awesome run to get there, but then coming up short in the night show. Just kind of talk about the reality of being a top competitor and the difference between those highs and lows in a weekend.
Absolutely. So yeah, teams was, I think it's one of my most exciting divisions to be a part of, just because it's been a while, or it took a long time to team fight. You know, when I got on the team due to COVID, you know, it was just me at the beginning fighting adults and looking up to Cam, to Justin, to Zolt and Laszlo. And then, you know, missing that at the beginning, but then having that after we made that big pickup with Cam, Stacks, Hop, and Key, and, you know, it was great. So having that opportunity and seeing Cam go down was tough, you know, because you don't see Cam go down. You don't. But when he did, and we saw his reaction, and I overheard him say he broke it. And I was like, oh, snap, like, it's up to us, you know. This is why we train, you know. All of us are in great shape, and we all have a great lineup to where any one of us can take on anybody, any team. And that's how much confidence we have in each other. So when he went down, I know Coach looked at me and he's like, I need you, Alex. And I was like, I got you, Coach. So going in there to close out teams and have some good fights was amazing. And then the reality of being a top competitor, you know, you have your highs and lows. This weekend, I opened up the weekend with a loss in my first fight, you know, and that was a reality for me to be like, hey, you know, it just wasn't your time this division, but let's wake up. You know, you have to remember that coming in this weekend, you know, anybody can be the man. You know, anybody can be the fighter, all right? Because we're all top fighters. We're all great fighters. This division was stacked with elite talent. And shout out to everybody who made it out, and thank you everybody for showing up, because we all push each other. Coming up short in the heavyweight overall was tough. It is tough, you know, but it only motivates me. You know, it only motivates me, and it's only gonna make me better. Because if anybody thinks this is my prime, I'm just getting started. I haven't even hit that. So I'm very excited to see what's to come and keep going.
A great answer from a great fighter and a great person. Alex Mancillas, thank you for your time.
Us.
We are now joined by Team Sync traditional grand champion alongside Samuel Diaz III, and of course Team Paul Mitchell member and the person who just so happens to be my wife, the beautiful Miss Gabrielle Rudolph. Gabrielle, I want to start with you as a solo competitor this weekend, getting wins in both the Korean and Japanese traditional forms divisions. And I want you to speak a little bit to a lot of young competitors kind of having this conflict of maybe they're a Taekwondo black belt or a Taekwondo stylist, and they feel pressure that they have to learn Japanese to compete on the circuit. I want you to just talk a little bit about excelling at both and how it feels to be a role model for both of those divisions.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know a little bit about my journey, I started doing Taekwondo when I was 2 years old because my father owns a Taekwondo school in New Jersey. But growing up, going to these NASA tournaments and seeing these different styles like Japanese kata, you know, I just fell in love with that style because it's different and new, and I had been doing Taekwondo for, 10 years at that time. So you should never feel like you have to do one style to quote unquote win, because as long as you show that you're giving your all in your form, that's all that matters. That's all that should matter. Now, for me, I never stopped training Taekwondo, even though I grew this love for kata. So as an 18-year-old just moving up into the adult division, I was ecstatic that I could do both and I could excel at both. So this past weekend, I had a little crazy idea. 3 days ago, I learned a new form called Moon Moo, and I had a little bit of a hybrid moment with it. Did it today, won the division, was super happy with that turnout, and I also won my Japanese forms division. So just it goes to show that you can do as many styles as you want, just as long as you are passionate about it and show your heart in the forms. That's all that matters.
And then moving on to Team Synchronized Division, where you were performing on stage alongside your good friend and training partner, Samuel Diaz III. Talk a little bit about that experience being on stage after not a whole lot of preparation for this weekend with Sam. And then one of the things that we can't ignore about stage, obviously you never want a division to end this way, but Michael Molina unfortunately having the drop at the end. I thought it was so sweet. Number one, how Cody Molina, I got to give her a shout out, immediately responded to that happening. But then you and Sam and the way that you handled that. So I want to hear your thoughts about the division and running it with Sam, but also maybe some words of encouragement for a great martial artist that had an unfortunate thing happen like Michael.
I mean, those kids brought it tonight. Their form was impeccable. Their timing, their precision, the music, everything. It was a fantastic performance. So for it to end that way, it was just really disheartening because you could see how much that they really wanted it. And I gave them a little words of encouragement backstage. You never want it to end that way. But training wise with me and Sam, I feel like I definitely had to change my style a lot to match his because he is a big, strong man. So, even with my walk-in, I had to change it up a little bit from how I typically walk into my regular divisions. So I make my shoulders a little bit bigger. I take some bigger steps so I can match him. We've been doing this division for a little over a year now. We started at Compete Nationals in 2024, and we haven't gotten a ton of prep like I would like us to. We are in the works of learning a new kata, so hopefully Battle of Atlanta 2025 will come up with some new fun stuff.
As always, amazing Miss Gabrielle Rudolph.
Oh, Mrs. Thank you.
We are now joined by Team Paul Mitchell's Katarina Herman, always a threat to win any fighting title that comes across. Obviously, this was a huge weekend for point fighting here at Paul Mitchell's home tournament. You going very deep into the competition, Super Fights final, overall grands. You had your fingerprints all over it. So just give us a little recap of your experience this weekend.
So my experience this weekend was pretty awesome. Ocean States is always a blast, being the home tournament of Coach Don Christine Rodriguez. But so far so good. It was a really good weekend. Started off the weekend strong with team fights with Miss Katana Everett. Of course, taking it home again, undefeated, no fights lost. Killed it with her, which was super fun. Then moved on to our open weight, the qualifier to get to the stage, which was a blast because then they had women's fighting up on stage, which was also awesome because that didn't happen last year. So very good. I got the bye in the first round. Was lucky to have that from the points, and got to move on with the top 8. And then fast forward today for Saturday, had my weight division, felt amazing in my weight division. Won my last 2, the final fight and then the heavyweight grand, both by 10-point spread. So felt really good with that. And then moved on for a night show where we had final 8 and the overall, which was successful. So came home with the second place in open weight, lost to Savannah Melaniuk, who's a teammate of mine. So we usually go back and forth, and congrats to her. But it was a great weekend overall. I'm happy with results.
A great recap, Katie. And of course, the thing that everybody is going to want to talk about is how crazy the end of that Super Fights final was. Obviously, you and Savannah are both very familiar opponents. You face each other all the time, and like you mentioned, even training partners, right? And so kind of talk a little bit about that relationship, about going for such a big title while also having that kind of training partnership. And then also, for everybody that was watching the show and looking left and right and trying to figure out what was going on, put us in your shoes as the end of the fight is happening and everybody's trying to figure out what's going to happen.
Right. So to start off, it's definitely an interesting dynamic being teammates and fighting all the time. And pretty much any time I have a close fight, it's either Savannah or Katana. So, I'm lucky and I'm grateful to have that as a training partner so we can push each other in practice and then at events. But it's definitely interesting because we're driving home together tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. But it's good. I'm grateful for it. I think we push each other and make each other better at the end of the day. It's frustrating, but she gets the same frustration that I do, and we kind of go back and forth. But it's all right. It is what it is. And for the Super Fights finals, it was a mess. I'm not even really sure what happened. I was kind of confused. I'm pretty sure what Coach Damon was arbitrating was that before they finished the fight and while they made the final call, the other coach, Bailey, stood up, which would have been a penalty point or something like that. I know Savannah also went out of the ring with like 5 seconds to go. I'm not the judge. It's not my responsibility to call that, but I know Coach Damon will fight for it, and he'll fight for what he sees. So I was confused, but I was told to keep my stuff on and stay ready, stay warm. So I did, and so did she. I think she thought it was done and took her stuff off, and then so I was ready, but not really sure the full in and outs. But I know they talked about it, had a conversation, and then came the decision that fight was over. She was a winner, and so bowed out, and was happy with that.
So if you find it, let me know.
Well, it wouldn't be a major title without some type of craziness going on. And ultimately, we know that there are many, many, many more chapters to be written in that particular matchup, as well as plenty of more chapters in your personal book, Katie. And one thing that I want to end on is I think it's great what they're doing here at the Ocean States, powered by Female Fighters Matter 2, getting you guys on stage, getting you guys equal prize money, having a full Elite 8 of women's fighters in the actual night show, getting that level of exposure. I know that there's going to be more young girls than ever that are looking up to you guys as role models and excited about the future of women's point fighting. Talk about how special that is and any message that you'd like to share with those who are looking up to you.
That is an awesome comment, question, point. It's honestly my favorite part about point fighting and being on Team Paul Mitchell is the people that get the opportunity to see us fight and be able to look up to us. In my mind, I still feel like I'm them. So I remember going up to Morgan Plowden and even like a Gina Thornton and asking for a photo and talking to them and everything. So it's honestly a pretty surreal experience when that happens to me now. I'm super happy that also Maggie Messina sponsored the event and allowed the top 8 to come, because last year I took home every division in the women's division and still walked away with less than the winner of the sole men's open weight. So that was a little bit of a sting because not in my control, but to see that they upped that this year and then originally didn't have the final 8 in the night show, but Coach Dawn and Christine made that decision last minute to bring all 8 women and men to the night show, which definitely good sign, move in the right direction. But as for the kids, it's incredible. I think anybody would say that. It's the best part because that kind of thing doesn't leave. That sticks with you forever, and it's more important than any accolades or trophies or anything like that. But got a lot of kids on Team Army. There's a few that just have my heart, and I'll always watch out for. But yeah, it's probably my favorite part.
Well, a great answer, Katie, and thank you so much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, Katie Herman. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 12:15 a.m. following the night show here at the Ocean State Grand Nationals, and we have a treat in the Paul Mitchell press conference here. The 4 horsemen of Team Paul Mitchell in the Forms and Weapons division, at least, Phillip Brumme, Ben Jones, Dawson Holt, and Esteban Tremblay, are now joining us for some media availability. And so I want to start with just a general question for all of you to just kind of recap your weekend and talk about your experience, because although the 4 of you do a lot of the same things, the path through the weekend becomes very different for everybody.
All right, so I guess I'm starting us off. The weekend started off pretty bad for me. First division, I dropped in my first section, and then the second division, I had like a really bad catch and then another really bad catch. Creative Weapons was fine. And then Musical Forms comes around. I hit a really strong form and I win that one, which is hype. And then the second 2 divisions after that, I get third in each of those. So it's kind of like all over the place. But I kept it pretty even keeled throughout all of that, tried to keep my head straight. I had my highest placement in traditional kata this weekend, 3rd place in traditional forms this weekend. And then came to the night show, had one job, got the job done, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, it was a busy weekend for us. On Thursday night, we got to go to our coach's, Steve Babcock's school, and do a little demo for his students there, so that was awesome. And just to get a little bit of team bonding is always a great time as well. Then Friday morning, we got to go visit the local hospital here and do a little demo for some of the patients that were there as well, so that's always a very rewarding feeling. And then Friday was awesome. Kicked it off with sync with both of these guys. won forms, won weapons. So, good start. And then got into individual divisions. Ended up cracking my bow in the first division and then broke it right after. That's what you do. And then hit a couple good forms after that. Did not take any CMX weapons, but I felt good about what I did. And then I also joined these guys right here for extreme forms, which was fun. Haven't done that in a while. Mm-hmm. And then today I had a good form in Korean as well, and I got second in that. And then won traditional non-bladed weapons. And then the night show, we had a fun little sync performance. And then I broke my bow in tried weapons. Same exact strike, same exact spot in the form as last year. So I guess I've recently added in a lot more weight training. Maybe I need to take it back out and just keep drilling my form. So we'll see. I'll make a plan.
Yeah, so we pretty much, we started off with a hospital visit Friday morning. Some of these guys did a demo Thursday night. I was able to join them afterwards and have dinner, catch up with everybody, including the coaches. For Friday, yes, we did the hospital visit. Then we got to the tournament, got pretty busy. A little bit different environment for all of us competing against each other because we typically, compete in the main room on stage where it's chaos, all sorts of fighting, forms, divisions going off at the same time. Music is blasting everywhere. So this year it was a little change for us. Also an adjustment as well. We went to a new room, quiet environment. You would see some people come in and come out. Some people would watch us, but it was it really had to push myself just because it was a quiet environment. So that way, we had each other to help push us, but that's all we had. So we really had to bring the energy up. And of course, we all showed out. We did what we could. Yes, there were some bumps in the road for all four of us, but we all made it to the night show, did the best we could, made the coaches happy, always. I ended up winning traditional weapons, and I ended up winning CMX weapons. It's not how I want to win, but it is what it is. So hopefully my competition can come back, do better next time. So, yeah, hopefully.
Okay, so just joining what Dawson just said about the new environment. My Friday night went pretty well. Took 3 out of 4 weapons division, and to be fair, one of my strategy was to use that environment to really go and put all my power out there. I removed a couple of releases just to make sure I hit everything cleanly, and I really used that performance value into all my performance to make sure I get the win. So that was my strategy over there, and it turned out well. But for the forms, I cannot remember the last time that I actually did not win a musical or extreme division. So that happened, but God creative. So I was on stage for creative. For the overall CMX forms, did a pretty solid creative. Really proud of myself for this one. And so a drop happened in the weapons, but we don't talk about that.
So you guys did a great job of kind of recapping each of your individual weekends. Again, some of the big highlights: Phillip with a win in CMX forms, Dawson with wins in the traditional weapons and CMX weapons, the 3 of you to the left side of the screen with big wins in sync. So thank you all for kind of reviewing everything from a competitive side. I've got a couple more questions because I wouldn't be interviewing the 4 of you if we didn't have a little bit of fun with it. I'll start with an easy one, peeling back the curtain a little bit. So the team always goes and performs at Steve Babcock's historic martial arts school the Thursday before the Ocean State Grand Nationals. And there are legendary stories of getting to go to Steve's attic, which sounds scarier than it is, and get some vintage Team Paul Mitchell merch that has been living in his attic for 30 years or longer. So we'll go down the line relatively quickly this time and just share, what is your favorite piece of vintage JPM memorabilia, whether you own it or not? It doesn't have to be your memorabilia.
I think my favorite piece of JPM merchandise, is probably the shampoo bottle uniforms that I don't have, but they're very cool. But I knew this weekend was off to a good start because whenever we first got there and I got to look in the attic and everything, which was super cool, by the way, Coach Steve had a little bit of pick a number between 1 and 20, and I won the challenge. So I got like a really cool thing. So I was like, all right, this is gonna be a good weekend.
I would say my favorite is the shampoo bottle uniform that I do have. And I have it framed in my apartment, so it's pretty sweet. Yeah, go ahead, Dawson.
Just I lost to rock, paper, scissors against him with that gear. But, I mean, my favorite piece, I mean, it's any of those shampoo bottle shirts, uniforms. Man, favorite merch. Anything in there is pretty cool. Has a little backstory to it. There's a cool banner that he has. He also has a few trophies. That has like a vintage shampoo bottle. It says John Paul Mitchell Systems across. So yeah, there's a lot of, stories behind some of this stuff. I've even seen a couple of soft style geese. I think he has another one, an orange soft style geese. So yeah, I'd say but shampoo bottle, uniform, or shirts are my favorite.
Okay, let's be a little bit more original here. I'm not gonna say shampoo bottle uniform, come on. But the 20th anniversary jacket, it goes hard. I think it's one of my favorite. I need to get one at some point. I'll figure out a way. I don't know, but I'll figure out.
I have one of those. And so last one, and I think this one will be a really fun one because I want the young athletes that all look up to you guys to understand some of the duality of being both rivals on the mat, but also being teammates and best friends off the mat. And I've got a kind of creative and fun way that I want to explore that a little bit. So the last question for you guys is, I just want you to go down the line and say what your favorite move is from each of your three teammates. So Phillip will say his favorite move of Ben's, of Dawson's, and of Esteban's, and we'll rotate through the mic. And I'm really curious to just see, because that's one thing, like when I was competing, yeah, we're rivals and we want to beat each other, but you also become fans of the people that you compete against because everybody's at a really high level. So again, your favorite moves of each of your teammates.
Okay, for Ben, that's easy because during quarantine, I used to watch his videos like every day. So when I was trying to teach myself bow in my garage, I would look at his videos, and there was this one he did where he would spin like 1 or 2 times to the left and then half turn to the right, and I thought that was so cool. So you kind of got like a little variation of that in your form where you turn to the right. But yeah, so that move from Ben. From Dawson, I feel like this is basic, but the forward toss where he flips it twice and he catches it in the position where he's in like a nice line. It's such a clean line. It's just so nice. And then from Esteban, let me think. This is tough. He's got a lot of really great moves. So, probably just like the orbiter where he runs his hand through his hair. My cousin Frankie is like determined to get it down. So probably that one.
Nice. Thank you for the compliment. I would say Phillip shuriken cutter is nasty.
Yes.
I gotta give him the shuriken cutter.
I was gonna say that.
Okay. Dawson's, I don't know what it's called, but he's got the sword in reverse grip. It's like right here. He like spins and then his hand's up in the air as the sword's spinning, and then he spins and then he swoops in and catches it. So I don't know what it is, but it's awesome. And then, yeah, still looking for a name. We'll figure it out.
Figure it out.
And then for Esteban, I would say, I don't know if this counts. I'm going to do 2. The pop 12 is nasty every single time he hits it. But then, pretty simple, he goes stall, jump, front kick, and he goes chop in the air and front kick before he lands. And I'm like, it's just a jump front kick. But it's not just a jump front kick because he stalls and he chops and then he kicks. So it's nasty. But yeah, that's what I got.
Okay. I would also have to say Phillip shuriken cutter. What else? Orbiter with the comma. That's another one. For Ben Jones, it's the freeze frame. First time I saw that, I literally froze. I was like, what did he just do? Yeah, I mean, there's a few others. When he first did it's called the bed spin. He'd spin around his finger. That's an OG move he used to do back years ago for Mr. Tremblay. Kick full. Pretty nice. Strong.
solid kick in it. Also for his trick pass with his weapon, passing the bow between his legs as he's doing his hyper, card full hyper. Yeah, that's all I can think of right now. Some of my favorites from you guys.
Good. I'll start reverse order. I'll say Dawson. This weekend you did some kind of like transition to get into his trick pass. You went 1 and 2, spin around, go into that stance. Okay, it's just a transition, but I don't know. I'm stick with it right now. It looks so good.
It was
so
nice.
I would say that for Dawson. For Ben, I would say the orbiter where he goes and he trap it around the arm. I feel like not a lot of people actually get it. Like it looks really good. Like I really enjoy that trick, and I know we mentioned that before, but Phillip, your shirt can cut it. Looks really good.
Thank you. Pointed toes.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much to, again, JPM's 4 horsemen, Phillip Brumme, Ben Jones, Dawson Holt, Esteban Tremblay, and that will conclude the Sport Karate Zone press conferences for the Ocean State Grand Nationals. We will see you guys next time. Thank you so much, boys.
Us.